Hey, good evening to you. This is Dr. Robert Bartosh of Proactive Wellness and Injury Center, and I want to thank you so very much before I get into this sincerely. Thank you for allowing me to share this information with you, for you sharing your time with me, and I promise you that it is going to be beneficial. And thank you so much for those of you that were ready last evening. I apologize. I'm not the most adept when it comes to technology, and I accept full and whole responsibility for that debauchery last evening. But again, here we are to talk this evening. Look, as I get into this, if you do have any questions at all, I don't know how this works, frankly, but I think you can type some in, and if you do, and I see them, I will attempt to answer those questions to the best of my ability based upon the truth at the end of this presentation. So, fire them away. That's what we're here for. And also, I have to tell you, this is a disclaimer, and I will probably be repeating this throughout the time that we're together of necessity because I've been shut down before by the powers that be, and I've been forewarned before by the powers that be that control the airwaves, being careful as to what I say. So look, so that we understand one another, I'm not diagnosing, I am not treating, nor is anything that I'm about to say um, a cure for the topic that we're going to discuss. Okay, just so we understand that, and so that the people that are listening in the shadows understand, I am not diagnosing, I'm not advocating a cure. I am not certainly treating anybody that's on this that's joining me this evening, so that we understand that. Okay, but I do want to get into this because I have to admit to you, I'm getting a little upset, more than a little upset by what I'm hearing. This whole episode of life and time that we're going through has afforded people to come out of the they've come out from everywhere, and they're getting their 5 or 15 minutes of fame. And there's a lot of mythology, a lot of misinformation that's being propagated, especially by the press. And what I want to do is to tell you the truth, because the truth is what's going to set you free from the fear, from the bondage, from the uncertainty that many people unfortunately are finding themselves in. All right, and that's why I entitled this "The Facts, the Fears, and the Fables that are associated with the coronavirus." So what I want to do here now is to discuss with you the two individuals, or two parties, I should say, that are the focus of our discussion this evening. The one party is called COVID-19, or the coronavirus. The other party that's involved in this situation is of course you and I. So what we want to do is to find out all the facts that we can. And as we find out the facts, we're going to diffuse the fables. All right. So without any further ado, then, the COVID-19, as you can see up here on the board, and I apologize, you're not going to be in for seeing any kind of smooth, brightly colored slides or whatever. This is basic and this is primitive, but when all has been said and done, you're going to be able to say, though it was, I did hear the truth. Okay, so we're going to find out what it is. All right, it is a virus. Now, you have to understand what that means. A virus is very, very tiny molecular form, and it's much smaller than a bacteria. It's much smaller than a bacteria. All right. So it is a virus. And I want you to know that it's not new. Folks, there is absolutely nothing new under the sun. There isn't. I know that for a fact. There's nothing new under the sun. So this virus isn't new. As a matter of fact, I think it was first named, if I remember correctly, back in 1908. It's one of the four SARS viruses. And it was aptly named because of the shape around its body, a coronal shape, if you will, not unlike when the sun has a full eclipse on it. So it's the coronavirus. I will tell you this about it, though. It has gotten stronger and I will talk to you about why it's gotten stronger and how it's gotten stronger as we go through this. Okay, so it is not new. It is nothing new. So that means that it's been around for a long time. It's been around as long as it's been around, frankly, longer than you and I have been around, but it's been around. So I want you not to forget that fact. It's been around a long time and it is real. It is very, very real. This is not a fabrication. It's not a myth that's been conjured up by some kind of a nefarious being in the background. It is for real. As a matter of fact, to date, let's see here, so far, and this is not current as far as up to the minute, but at the last reading that I got, and I get this from the World Health Organization, I have access to it that some physicians do, one of which is myself. But currently, the coronavirus worldwide, now in the world, I think there's 7 or 8 billion plus people in the world. So from its first alarm that was sounded back, I believe, in November or late December to this date, the 24th of March, there have been over 8,979 people that have died by the coronavirus. 8,979 people. And I know that number has changed since I brought this information to you, but that's the number that we had at this time. Now, in the world now, up to this date, since the beginning, since the beginning of the year, I misread something. So since the beginning of the year, January to currently and totally, 8,979 people have died. As there's been 66,059 mothers that have died during birth, during the same time period. 66,059 mothers have died during birth. There have been 103,869 people that have died in the same amount of time due to what we call the seasonal flu. Again, that number is 103,869. Due to malaria, yeah, there's people still dying in the world because of malaria. In the same time frame as the coronavirus has been active, 209,636 people. 209,636 people. Suicides in the world, 229,184 people have died from suicides in the same time period of the coronavirus. Automobile accidents, here's a good one. I shouldn't say it's a good one. 288,502 people have died in automobile accidents, according to alcohol-related deaths. Now, when I say alcohol-related deaths, of course, we're talking about liver disease and others that have died from overconsumption of alcohol. 534,538 people. 534,538 people. And due to smoking, that's lung cancer, just lung cancer, not the other cancers, just lung cancer due to smoking, 1,088,402 people. That's in the same time period now as the coronavirus. Children under 5 worldwide, children under 5 that have died worldwide, 1,624,510 children under the age of 5 years old. 1,624,510 children due to cancer. Now, the cancer that we're talking about here primarily is breast and colon cancer. 1,755,279. 1,755,279. And according to the statistics, heart disease. Heart disease has killed 2,016,012 people. 2,016,012 people during the same time. So here we're looking at 2 million compared to 8,000, the coronavirus. Now, it's interesting to note that in the United States yearly, this is the United States, you can look it up, the CDC, I'm not fabricating anything. Number one is heart disease. That's the number one killer in the United States. Number two killer of all people in the United States is cancer. Number three killer in the United States is medical error. That's right. That's the number three killer of peoples in the United States is due to medical errors, botched surgeries, malprescribed prescriptions, whatever it may, that's medical error. That's it. And I think the average is 256,000 deaths a year in the United States. 256,000 plus people die a year on average because of medical error. So, but I digress. We're talking about the coronavirus. So it is real. I want you to know that it is a killer. It has the potential to kill. Okay? All right. So we'll talk about now how it does that. And I apologize. I'm erasing some of my printing here. What I wrote there was that it is parasitic. That's what this is. This virus is a parasite. See, a parasite now is totally and wholly dependent on another life for its very existence, for its existence. Because if it doesn't have a life to get its life from, then it dies. It's dead. So it's parasitic. Now, the quality of the life of a parasite is totally and wholly dependent upon the host that it gets into. Now, viruses, there are literally millions of viruses in every area of life, whether they be in the soil, in the plants, in the animals, in us, in the air. There's millions of types of viruses, and I believe that there are 5,000 known or named viruses currently, one of which, of course, is one of the four SARS, that's the COVID-19, okay? So it's a parasite, and what it will do is it can't carry on life by itself, so it's very, very small. It can get even into bacteria. Yes, it'll get into animals. Viruses get into plants. Viruses get into all types of life forms, and it can even get into bacterias. And that's amazing. And that's how small this thing is. So when it gets into a bacteria or it gets into any life form, it starts to replicate. It starts to destroy the cell that it's in. So we'll say it gets into our cells. It starts to take all the nourishment out of our cells. It kills our cells. As it kills our cells, we start to die. Boom, boom, boom. Our life gets lesser and lesser and lesser. We have lesser and lesser fuel to continue our lives. So that which we would use for energy now is being depleted. It's being assimilated and used by the virus. So the person that gets it ends up dying if it's not stopped. So it is parasitic. Okay. Now I also want you to know that it is opportunistic too. I forgot to mention it's very, very opportunistic. That means like this, you know, if you leave your car unlocked and you have your purse or you have your wallet laying on the front seat, and there is a person that walks by that has a tendency to steal, then he or she's going to open that door. They're going to see an opportunity. They're going to open that door and they're going to take it because there's no defense in that automobile, right? The door hasn't been locked, and the booty, the prize, if you will, the purse or the wallet is laying out there in plain sight for this individual to see. So he or she, if they're a thief, they're going to open up that, they're going to take advantage of that opportunity. Well, these viruses do the same thing. If they don't have an open door, if they don't have access, then they can't barge their way in. Whereas a thief could break the window if the car was locked, I understand, or they could jimmy the lock or whatever they would do. They could take by force, they could do it. Viruses cannot do that, however. They can't overwhelm anything by force. They've got to have an opportunity. So that means that they have to have an open door, some type of open door that allows them access. Okay? So don't forget that. They are very opportunistic. And also, they are anaerobic. What that means is this. Um, you and I are aerobic. And I'll explain it this way. We have to have oxygen in order to live. That means if they remove the oxygen from you and me, we're not going to last long. We'll take a few gasps of what little remaining air there is, and then we're going to die because we need oxygen to live. Viruses are anaerobic. This one in particular is anaerobic. That means it cannot live in the presence of oxygen. It cannot live in the presence of oxygen. We're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail as I go along here. Okay? So they're parasitic, they're opportunistic, and they are anaerobic. And also, I've got to tell you this. Okay? God bless them, all these people, these heads of nations and these fine doctors and everybody that's working to destroy this thing and to stop it. The bottom line is this. It will never, that means with inevitable certainty, never is an absolute term. It will never be totally and wholly destroyed. It's just impossible to do. It won't be wiped out. Listen, I don't care what brilliant minds come up with it. I don't care how potent they profess, if God, I hope they don't, but how potent they profess their vaccine, their immunization to be, or what stringent actions they take. We can never, ever, ever destroy this totally and wholly. I mean, it's been here only God knows how long, really, seriously. Probably since the fall of man, when the earth changed. That's how long this virus has been here. So it's not going away anytime soon. We can't eradicate it totally and wholly. Okay? All right. Now that's not doom and gloom. That's just the truth. That's a statement of fact. See, the more truth that you have, and the more truth you act on, or the actions based upon truths, the more powerful you become, the more assured of victory you have. It really is that simple. Now, it's going to be here. And also, this is the really good news. It's law abiding. Yes, this virus it is law abiding. It must obey the laws. It must obey the laws that govern all life forms. All life forms are governed by law. So I'm going to cut to the quick here. What does that mean for you and for me? That means, oh boy, all of these things. That means, this is drum roll right here. It must die. It must die. See, it has to. It has no choice. See, it's a parasite, right? It's a parasite. So it's totally and wholly dependent on something else to live. It's opportunistic. It's totally and wholly dependent on an opportunity given to it. See? Okay? And it's anaerobic. That means if it doesn't have air, it can't live. See, so it can't say, well, no, but you can't kill me. Even though you take away the air, I'll still survive. No, it won't. It will die without air. And it has to obey those laws. It's law abiding. That means it must die. Okay? So that's who and what the virus is in a nutshell. Now I'm going to share with you, because I'm not the most brilliant individual, and I don't have access to all information, but I'm smart in this way. I have been so blessed with surrounding myself with brilliant individuals that I have made friends with over the years, that I can pick their brains, so to speak, and by repeating what they share to me makes me look a little brighter. But my brightness comes in knowing where to look for the answer. So I want to share with you some information. And I admit that I can hold it up and show you if you like so that you can see I'm not making this up. But this is from Paul Offit, Dr. Paul Offit. Now, this individual is the director of the Vaccine Education Center for the CDC in the United States. This is Dr. Paul Offit. This is what he says. If similar to China, if what happens in China or happened in China happens here, we can expect some thousands of deaths to occur. We can expect that. We can anticipate that. But this is the question he asked. Which is going to do more harm, the virus or the fear of the virus? Myself, I think it's a rhetorical question. I think the fear of the virus is going to do much, much more harm in many, many more ways than the virus itself. The virus has the potential to kill one person at a time, but the fear of the virus has the potential to kill many, many, many more people at a time. It has the potential to kill the economy. It has the potential to kill any kind of futures that people were wanting to have. It just goes on and on. It has the potential to kill and destroy absolutely every area of life, or that which involves our life that we know. Every area of our quality of living as we know it. That's the fear aspect, not the virus, the fear of it. Okay. I mean, have you been to some of the, well, I don't want to go there because I'll get off on a tangent for sure. So Dr. Offit continues to say it doesn't make sense to shut down our entire way of life for a virus. Listen to what he says. He's the director of vaccine education. And you know what I mean? The vaccines, they're supposed to cure the diseases and do all this. He's the director of this agency that puts out this stuff. He said this, it doesn't make sense to shut down our entire way of life for a virus far less devastating than the influenza that we experience every winter. In his own words, he's saying that this virus is far less damaging, powerful than the influenza that you and I are subjected to every winter. It's out there. It's out there. And he says this, don't cause harm in the name of preventing harm. That's pretty profound. Don't cause harm in the name of trying to prevent the harm. It will take years to recover from the measures we are now instituting. It definitely will take years to recover. All of these businesses that will be lost, all of the lives changed, all of the fear mongering that's being planted in our societies all over the world. He goes on to say this again. Why are we scared of COVID-19? Listen to what any virus, that's all of the viruses. There's literally millions of viruses, over 5,000 named viruses, any of which can cause permanent disfiguring symptoms. They can cause that. They can cause have predilection for children, and I'm going to get to that one in a moment. That's a hot button with me. So, you know, the viruses can attack the children, and it can also lead to severe complications. Okay, so you might live through the virus, but you have now permanent residuals. You have damage that's been done to your lungs, damage done to your heart, whatever it might be. All viruses have that potential. It's not exclusive to the COVID. So he says, look, sensibly take precaution, but COVID-19 does not. COVID-19, this, and you can, I hate to say this, but that's where people live today. You can Google it if you want. Anyway, Dr. Offit says, take precaution, be smart, right? But COVID-19 doesn't measure up to viruses in the past that we've had, such as Ebola, doesn't even come close to the potential of Ebola, doesn't come close to the potential of the swine flu and or the influenza that you and I have every winter or are subjected to every winter. See, this is what you got. Some of these news agencies and these reporters, it's a doom and gloom kind of garbage out there, isn't it? See, I'm here to give you the truth, because what the truth is going to do is to give you a merry heart. I feel better now, realizing I've got something I can do. See, because a merry heart is a good medicine, but a sad one, the same inspirer of that bit of advice says, a sad one depletes the energy of the heart. That's what it does. It makes you sicker. Fear kills. See, over time, it just weakens and weakens and weakens, and invariably it kills. Now, so the news agencies, and this is my rebuttal, because they're on there telling you the bad news every day. Well, we've got more cases. You're going to get more cases. I mean, it's going to spread. You're going to get more cases. And you know what? More people are going to die. But listen, because they picked on Italy. Oh my God, Italy. All right. The mortality rate in Italy. The coronavirus, ISIS, in Italia, I decessi accertati finora per caso del COVID-19 sono solo due. I will tell you what that means. It means coronavirus, and this is the agency, the IS is like our CDC, comparable, same thing. They're the ones that give us all the stats on what's going on in the United States. Well, the ISS in Italy, this is what this is the translation here for you. In Italy, there are only two deaths ascertained so far due to COVID-19. Of all of the people that have died, that you have heard on the TV from your news reporters and all of this, the Italian CDC said only two due to the COVID-19, and that was since March the 13th, 2020. March the 13th. So by March the 13th, only two people, all those people that you heard died, only two, according to them, the Agenzia Nova, Istituto Superiore di Santia. That's it, the Institute of Better Living, the CDC, okay? And only two by March the 13th. And then look, they broke it down here. They were so good to me. They broke down a little pie chart. I can't get this right. Okay. So they had people die, and these people were dying and everything. Okay. So of the people that did die, you know, all the people that you saw, you were told about that were dying after the corona was discovered in Italy. They said, this is the source again, this is their National Institute of Health. Let me see. Of all of those people that died, 25.1% had one other illness. That means they had a comorbidity. 48.5% had three or four illnesses. So they were diabetic, they had emphysema, and they were smokers or whatever. 25.6 had two other illnesses, and 0.8 had no other illnesses. That's according to their own statistics right there. Okay? Let them speak for themselves for a change, instead of you getting it downstream from these reporters that want to generate fear, that want you to stay fixed to this channel, to this station, for up-to-date information, because their ratings go up. The sponsors get, they get more money, they get job security, they have a sense of, man, look at me, I'm telling these people. And I don't know what it is about human nature, but I've seen over my expanse of life, people like to share bad news. They really do. For whatever reason, they do. And anyway, the Agenzia Nova, I want to continue here. At present, in fact, the authorities are unable to distinguish those who died from the virus from those who, on the other hand, are communicated daily to the public, but who were mostly carriers of other serious diseases and who, therefore, would not have died from COVID-19. Okay, this is from Italy. Okay, in response to the question from Agenzia Nova, in fact, Brusaferro was unable to indicate the exact number of coronavirus deaths. However, this Brusaferro is the head of the Institute of the Italian Institute of Health, right? The professor clarified that according to the data analyzed, he's the head of the CDC of Italy, the vast majority of the victims had serious, quote, the vast majority of the victims had serious non-COVID, non-coronavirus pathologies and in some cases, the onset of an infection of the respiratory tract could lead more easily to death. So he said here that according to the data of all of the people that were dying, most had serious, the majority of the victims that died had serious pathologies before they got the coronavirus. Okay? It goes on here to say there may be only 2 people who died from the coronavirus in Italy who did not present other pathologies. That's what I shared with you earlier. So that means they had comorbidities. Most of these people were already sick to begin with. They didn't take care of themselves. They were overweight. They were diabetic. They had heart problems. They had high blood pressure. They smoked cigarettes. They were a myriad of different, they were already sick to begin with. COPD, emphysema, pulmonary fibrosis, whatever. They were already sick before the COVID got to them. This is what emerges from the medical records examined so far by the Higher Institute of Health, according to what was reported by the president of the Istituto Superiore di Sanità, the Italian National Institute of Health, Silvio Brusaferro. God bless him. During the press conference, you know, they had a press conference in Italy that you didn't know about because you didn't see it on your TV as they were sharing the good news. No, you only see this garbage that's being profused here on the stations. So anyway, they had this during the press conference held at the Civil Protection in Rome. So they had this in Rome just a few days ago on the 13th of March, as a matter of fact. Quote, positive deceased patients have an average, had an average, this is the people that died, over 80 years old, 80.3 to be exact. 80.3 years old to be exact, okay? The majority of these people are carriers of chronic diseases. All of these people that are dying, they're chronic diseases. But even in those 2 cases, the examination of the files is not concluded, and therefore causes of death different from the COVID could emerge. The president of the ISS has specified that, quote, little more than 100 medical records, end quote, have so far come from hospitals throughout Italy. You know, all of these things where you're seeing all of these beds that are filled with people all over, it's Hollywood. That's what it is. So, you know, you can get in any hospital right now, and you can go in any ward right now, and there's 6 beds in a row, and you can focus the camera on the 6 beds that are filled with people, and at the same time, behind your back, there's 32 others that are totally empty. But, you know, for convenience sake, you put the people right next to one another because it's easier on the nurses, the attending physicians, and blah, 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 whatever. So you put them all together. Now, in your mind, and you don't want to go by what you see and what you hear, but in your mind now, you're thinking, oh my God, the whole place is packed with people. You know what I'm saying? It's they market this garbage, they build this stuff, they create it. Okay, so now that we've got that, and I got to share another one with you here, and this is from a buddy of mine, Dr. Brownstein, very intelligent individual, and got a hold of him. The virus may mutate and it may become more aggressive, not because it is, it's because the host is going to become weaker. Anyway, what they're saying is that the death rate is continuing to decline, and it really truly is. If you look at the number of cases are increasing, but in proportion, the death rate is decreasing. See? Yes, they're telling, oh boy, we've got 129 new cases and 132 new cases. It's risen by 8 new cases today compared to what it was yesterday. But at the same time, only 2 other people have died. So now the death rate has gone from 6 to 8 on this. And listen to me, before you jump all over me, I am not demeaning people that have died. That's not the intention of this. I don't take it lightly. I'm here so that you can be equipped with some weaponry to fight this stuff, not to hide in a corner, not to become paralyzed with fear and cower, you know, but to do something, doggone it. There's going to be a lot of good that's going to come out of this because people I hope, are going to appreciate life more than they ever have. They're certainly going to appreciate their jobs, more than they ever did. I mean, people complaining about, I hate to go to work. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love to be able to go outside for a change. They're gonna hopefully it'll be long lasting, but there's gonna be some changes. People are going to wake up to the frailty of their nature, and maybe they'll start taking better care of themselves. Anyway, he goes on to say here that the death rate is going to continue to decline as it is, as we all predicted it would. And what's going to happen is you're going to find out that as the contamination or the new outbreaks of this rises, you're going to find that the death toll in the United States is going to continue to rise. Yes, but it's at the end, it's going to be maybe 1.2%. That's what they're prognosticating. That's what they're saying. Only 1.2% of all of the people that have been affected by the coronavirus are going to die. Now, the question here is better, instead of getting on the tube or the internet and sharing doom and gloom, I don't, you know, I feel badly for the people that have died, but what I want to know is how did the people that got it and stayed alive, how did they do it? Because that's what I want to do. I mean, hey, if I'm going to get it, okay, cool, I can't stop it, but how can I get through it? How can I be one of those survivors? That's what I want to tell you, okay? But before I do that, I want to share with you another piece of information because I was livid. I mean, I really got now. It's not just the adults because the old people they've been telling you it's been older people, and it kind of, oh, thank God it's the old people, you know and their hold on you, they were losing their grip on you because you weren't as fearful as you were before. But then they came out with this. Now it's attacking the kids. Oh my God, you just got my attention all over again. All over, you got my attention. The coronavirus is attacking the kids. Now, I'm about to share with you some facts. Google it to your heart's content. I really don't care, what you do with it. I'm telling you the truth. Go and find another witness. Every fact is confirmed by two or more. I resign to that. Now, let me tell you something that you haven't perhaps heard. Children escape this particular SARS virus. I will repeat it, and you can quote me and you can share it out there to the masses. Children escape the coronavirus number 19. They escape it. God is a good God, and he took care of the little kids, the little babes. I mean, these kids that are neglected by their parents, these kids that aren't being raised by their parents, these little kids that don't know any better, these kids that are eating whatever's put in front. He takes care of the kids. So I'll tell you how he did this. And this is a fact. Science confirms this. This is not an opinion. Dr. Benjamin Davido, another one. He's an infectious disease specialist. He's one of the premier brainiacs when it comes to infectious disease, under which you will find SARS. It is an infectious disease and subclass as a virus. Anyway, getting back to this fact, and his agency is in Paris, France. Children are exposed to a number. Now listen. Now you're going to stop. I have to stop. This is coronavirus-19. Why do you think it's the COVID-19? Because there are 18 others before it, and there are a multitude of others behind it. So for clarification, there's a COVID-1, a COVID-2, a COVID-3, a COVID-4. This particular one happens to be number 19. There's a COVID-20, 21, and on it goes. All right? So children, all the children, all over the world are exposed to different coronaviruses. There's a multitude of them, and they're exposed to it. They have developed an immunity against this virus. If they hadn't, they would have been destroyed a long time ago. We wouldn't have any little kids anymore. We wouldn't have children. But listen, they do get sick from it. They absolutely. And I get sick from the flu, and you can get sick from the flu. All of us have the potential of getting sick. That doesn't mean you're going to die. It just means you're being attacked. Anyway, when they are attacked by this, their bodies develop an immunity. COVID-19 cannot, that's an absolute. It does not possess the ability, that's what it means, cannot, has not the ability. COVID-19 has no ability to attach itself to the respiratory epithelium in children. See, COVID-19, what it does is it comes in through this portal of entry, through the mouth and through the nose. Kids, you know what I'm saying? They do some horrid things, even some adults that you know. They stick their fingers in their mouth, they scratch their bottoms, they stick their fingers in their mouth, they pick their ears, they stick their fingers in their mouth, they stick, they play in the dirt, they do all kind of junk. They roll around with the pets, they experiment with dog doo-doo in the yard when they've seen it for the first time. Am I painting you a picture? That's a typical child. Oh, God forbid, it's not your child. It's typical. All right. So it's children all over the world. And they don't live in the sanitary confines of your backyard. These children, like in India and Pakistan and the Middle East and Turkey, all over the world, they don't have the luxuries that you and I enjoy. So the good Lord, in his mercy and his love, what he did was, when he created the children, he created it to protect them during their time of ignorance, because ignorance is just a time without information. Okay, but when you get the information, you're expected to act upon it. See, it's called accountability. Anyway, it can attach itself to the respiratory epithelium in children, because the epithelium in children has very few, if any, receptors. So let me explain it to you this way. All right, we're going to say that this is the inside of the throat. This is one of the borders of the throat. My fists, they're smooth on both sides. Okay, it's a tube, and this tube goes into the lungs, and that's what it bifurcates, it splits, it goes into the lungs. So these boogers, these viruses come in through the mouth of the kids, right? And they're breathing it in, and they're laughing. Kids love to laugh and play and all that. So this virus comes in. It's like a little speck of dirt, if you'd like to think, or dust. Well, however you want to picture this. So it floats in there, and then when it's floating around, there's nothing that it sticks to. There's nothing it can attach to, because it's just smooth tubes. So it will build up and build up. What's a kid do? The kid will sneeze, the kid will cough, whatever. It's a great thing for the body to do, because it's a protective mechanism. It's automatic. The body's spitting it out. Also, they get that little snotty nose, right? They run it. Well, the snot's good because it's capturing that junk that they didn't cough out. And then, mom comes there and she cleans it out with the Q-tip or the little syringe, or squeeze it, however. And then until the child learns how to go ahead and blow his or her own nose for themselves. So we get back to you and to me now. They got like clear tubes. Now, in you and me, when we start to grow and mature, the tube has now these little receptors on it, if you will, like little antennas, little receptors. So now when the virus comes into us, it hooks onto this one, it hooks onto that one, it hooks onto that one, and that one has all these receptors. And because of our lifestyle, or for whatever reason, our body doesn't have a chance to void it as efficiently and as effectively, so we succumb to it. So we start to cough a little more, which we ignore for a time being until we can no longer ignore it. Then we decide to do something about it, or we sneeze and then we blow it. Oh, it's just this or that and whatever. Or we take some stuff over the counter to suppress the body's attempt to get rid of this stuff, because it's a bad thing to cough. And it's a bad thing to sneeze. It's a bad thing to have a runny nose. You don't want, those are bad things. Well, in a healthy body, those are good things. That's how the body's protecting itself. But I digress. Okay? So what I want to do is to get back into what you can do now. See? So we talked about this stuff right here. It's not new. It is real. It is dangerous if it's allowed because it's an opportunistic bad thing. And it is a parasite. So its viability, its length of life depends upon whatever it is it attaches itself to or gets into, because it bores into the cells of the host. It's also anaerobic. That means that it's got to live outside the presence of oxygen. If you put it in oxygen, it's going to die. It's going to be here regardless of all of the attempts and all of the wonderful things that all of the governments and all of the pharmaceutical companies are going to do, blah, 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 blah. It's still going to be here. We're not going to eradicate it. And also, it's law abiding. It is governed by the laws of creation. That means it must die. It has a life. It must die. Okay? So, and look, if you still have questions, you keep them coming. I promise you, I'm going to try to answer them at the end in the best way I can. So now I told you we talk about two entities, one being the virus, the other one being you and me, right? Because we're the ones it's attacking. All right. So we identified that. So now I want to identify you. This is what you are. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. I know, I know, I know. For some of you, that sounds corny and, oh, here he goes on his religious spiel. No, this is not a religious spiel. This is the truth. I told you I'd tell you the truth. So I'm telling you the truth. The book that I read called the Bible says that we, that's you and me, were created in the image of God. And when we got created, he said it's very good. So look, it doesn't matter if you know God. It doesn't matter if you believe what God said about you. It doesn't matter. You still were created in the image of God. You still were fearfully and wonderfully made. Doesn't matter if you're a believer or a non-believer. It's like this. When you get on an airplane, it doesn't matter whether you believe in the law of aerodynamics or not. That plane, if it's created correctly and it's governed properly, it's going to fly. Doesn't matter if you believe in gravity or not, sweetheart. If you get on the roof of your house and you jump off, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get pulled right down to the cement or the concrete, the asphalt, whatever it is, or the grass, whatever it is that's beneath you. Doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. And it has nothing to do with you. It's a law. See, it's already been done. So getting back to you, you have been fearfully and wonderfully made. That goes for the minister, goes for the housewife, goes for the Sunday school teacher, for the school teacher, for the little snotty kids that run around the in the neighborhood that bust windows out. It goes for the robber. It goes for the person that's just shot somebody. It's gone for the person that murdered somebody. They've all been created in the image of God, every single one of them. And as such, there are certain laws that govern that creation. Okay? So, fearfully, wonderfully made. All righty. That means also you have been created to be well. Your body has been created to be well. Sickness is not normal. Being healthy is normal. It's not normal for people to have heart attacks. That's a disease. It's normal for people to be well. It's not normal for people to get cancer. It's normal for people to be well. It's not normal to have the flu. It's typical, but it's not normal. You got to understand these words. It's not normal. It is typical, because everybody lives in the same environment. So yes, we have the potential of getting those things, but our body, because it's been created to be well, will fight. There is within the body, there is an innate intelligence. Oh my gosh, that goes back to fearfully and wonderfully made. So look, you know that peanut butter and jelly sandwich that you ate, or that Big Mac that you gulped down, or that milkshake, or that stinking diet drink that you just gobbled. what the body has, unbeknownst to you, without you participating. That body's going to take that garbage that you just threw down your gullet, and it's going to separate it, and it's going to segregate it, and it's going to use the best out of the garbage it possibly can to regenerate your body, to repair your body, to renew your body, and to get energy from it. And then the rest of that garbage it's going to get rid of. That's the innate intelligence. Right now, the fact of the matter is this: if they did a throat culture right now, me and you, they would find staph, they would find strep, probably typhus, depends where you've been, but they'd find all manner of bacteria and viruses in the back of our throat. They work in harmony with us as long as we are strong. See, I'm here to tell you this. People are so focused on the seed, the virus, that they forget the soil. The seed, the virus, can't grow unless it has good soil. Any farmer will tell you that. You can get the best seed, but if you put it in junky garbage soil, it won't grow well. Now we have to switch this though. And you can get a bad seed, a poor seed, nurture it in good soil, and it's going to grow really, really well. So the virus, see, your body is the terrain. So what we want to do is we want to make it strong. That's what you want to do, because the germs never cause disease. It was a weakened host that allowed whatever germ, named germ it was, or bacteria, virus that got into it, to go ahead and set up housekeeping in it. See? And as long as the host is strong, the disease can't get in there and set itself up. Yep, it can get in there for a while, perhaps, and you have some symptoms for 3 or 4 days, but then you'd start waking up to reality. You do right things, and you boost your immune system, and then the body gets strong, and it knocks the knockout punch to that virus, and then you recover and you go on your way. That's the message that we need to be telling people. That's what you need to be doing for yourself and for your kids. Okay? So again, and don't worry about your kids, because they can't get the COVID-19. They can't get it because the good Lord has made it so that they have few, if any, receptors. So this is who you are. You got that innate intelligence. Thank God, because with most people, that's the only intelligence that is evident in them. And I know I'm being facetious, but I'm also being honest. Okay? So anyway, when we get down, this is what you are. You are to be responsible. You see, you are supposed to take care of yourself, not the doctor, not the vaccine. Hey, doc, I still want to eat junk. I still want to sit around. I still want to lay around and eat garbage and blah, 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 blah. But just give me the shot and I'll be okay. No, it doesn't work that way. You have been given, you live in your house. Who's supposed to take care of the house you live in? The people that occupy it, the people that own it, right? Okay, thank you. So you live in your body. Who is responsible to take care of that body? You are. But we live in an area that's ripe for the picking because people are irresponsible. Look, you went to the grocery store, I'm assuming, since this broke out. And I know I'm making a sweeping generalization here, but when you went to the grocery store, where were the shelves empty? I'll tell you where they were empty. The boxed foods, the canned foods, the processed foods, the microwavable foods. Why? Because people forgot how to cook, so they go and they use that garbage. And the people many that go out to eat in a restaurant, they forgot how to cook, so they use that garbage too. But if you went into the grocery store, all of those shelves, or many of them, are empty. There's nothing left. But walk around the perimeter of the store, you're going to see fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, fresh meats, fresh greens, all this fresh food. That's what you're supposed to be eating, not these food substitutes. So you eat them, but that's where we are. And then we've got this sheep mentality. People are just driven that fear. Whoever sells the fear sells the pill. Never forget that. Anyway, let me see where we are here. So if you have a fish, right, in a fish bowl, and the water's all filthy, dirty, you can hardly see to it, what do? You pick up the fish and give it a vaccine and drop it back into that dirty water? Oh, come on. What you do is you take the fish out of the water, you clean out, you get rid of that garbage, dirty water, you get clean water, you put the fish back in there, and the fish swims around delightfully so because you change the environment. That's what you got to do here. See, you got to become responsible. I'm waiting for the government to come up with an answer. I'm waiting for the government to give me this. I'm waiting for the government. Baloney. Do it. You're the one that's responsible for it, right? The quality of your life is dependent upon the decisions that you make. You want it good? Make good decisions and act on them. You're going to have a good life. Now, I'm going to tell you something else about you, okay? Listen, you are mortal. You're mortal. You're going to die. Unless the Lord returns before, you're going to die. That's the way. How you die, but people are going to die. We're acting like, oh my God, people are dying. Yes, they're dying. They're dying every day. I shared with you from the World Health Organization the millions of people that are still dying because of cancers and car accidents. Did we stop all driving and park them because over 1 million people have been killed already in automobile accidents? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so I'm going to tell you some of the things that you can do, okay? Okay, I'm going to share with you some insight here. Nitric oxide, this is something I use quite a bit in my office and for reasons. It inhibits the replication of cycle of severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus. Nitric oxide stops the replication cycle. That means it paralyzes and stops it. So these are some things that you can do. You can start eating spinach. Yeah, dark green leafy vegetables have some nitric oxide. You can call our office and you can get a formula. People hate the taste of it, but so what? It keeps them healthy. It's sprouted greens. It helps the body to produce nitric oxide. The further we go in time, the lesser the body produces nitric oxide on its own, but we can go ahead and supply the raw materials so that it can do that. We do it through our diet. Another thing you can do is to get out in the sunlight. Yes, the third layer of the dermis here, it has certain cells that when subjected to various rays from the sun will cause the body to produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, the production of which will go ahead and it will arrest the production of the coronavirus. So look, what do most people do? They stay indoors, they stay covered up in the winter, they don't, oh my gosh, it's so cold. They run in, they run out. Look, get outside and expose some skin. You can do it. You'll be fine. Even if it's only your hands and maybe, a little bit of your forearms and your face and that, get exposed to the sun. Now, you don't have to stay there forever. Go out for about 10 or 15 minutes. If it's brutally cold, all right, skip a day. I got you. Then put the nitric oxide into you through the supplementation or through the whole raw foods. All right, the nitric oxide does that. It stops the replication cycle. That means that it can't duplicate itself, it can't multiply itself. Okay, all righty, that's through the nitric oxide. Now there's another thing here I wanted to get to as well, and share it with you, and I want to make sure that I have, and I dropped that sheet of paper. Excuse me for a moment. We're going to have a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back with you. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that word from our sponsor. So the guy's back again. So this is what you can do. Is there any cure? Well, yeah, you can cure this. You can start to do this stuff, see? I alluded to a merry heart. Keep a merry heart. Get off the TV. Don't listen to that fear propagation. Keep a merry heart. Think on things that are good and pure and, the acceptable word of God. That would be a thing to do. It would be a great time if you have this Netflix or Hulu or whatever they got, or Red Box, Green Box, whatever they are. Go out and get some funny movies. Don't get the trash that's on TV. Get some comedies. Movies that make you laugh. movies that make you feel good inside, movies that just encourage you. Those are the kinds of things you want to keep in front of you. Read those kind of things. Keep them before you, because that merry heart is a good medicine. It'll make you feel better. Laughter is great. Come up with have a joke contest in your house. As corny as the jokes may be, keep on laughing and laughing and laughing. I mean, and if you do kick the bucket while you're laughing, what better way to go, right? So anyway, another thing you want to do is get vitamin D, and you want to get a vitamin D3 with a K2. This is what I'm recommending. I'm not selling it to you, so look, let's stop for a moment. I'm not telling you to get it from me. I'm telling you what to get, what kind. If you're going to get it, I don't care where you get it. Just make sure that you know who you're getting it from, that the source is good. This is why I put these, because I know what I'm talking about. I know these people and the quality. I'm responsible to take care of people that come to us. Anyway, we use a vitamin D3 with K2. Gotta have both together in order for it to work at its highest level. The vitamin D will do much for you in promoting a healthy immune system. Even if you're in the midst of this coronavirus, whatever, you can go ahead and get strong even in the middle of it. Vitamin D3, there's 1 and 2. You want the 3 with the K number 2 together. That's what you want. And then also another thing you want to do, remember I told you that the bugger was anaerobic. It can't live in the presence of oxygen. Most people are shallow breathers. We sit most of the day, we shallow breathe. We don't do anything. And get up a little bit, or we go up the stairs, we're out of breath for about 30 seconds or whatever until we recover. And then we sit down again. We sit down to eat, we sit down to go to work, we sit down, you got my point. We're sedentary. What I'm suggesting you do is to get outside where the air is cleaner, hopefully, than inside your house because of the different agents in the house. Go outside and do some deep breathing. See, because this is how the coronavirus, this is what it does. It has a molecular weight. It has a weight to it. This is the portal of entry on you. So it's going to get in primarily through the nose and through the mouth. So it goes in, and because it's heavier, it's going to fall down, fall down. You're going to breathe. It's going to be carried in with your inhalation. It's going to be carried into your alveoli and the bronchioles, and it's going to get into the lungs. Now, the lungs have different lobes to them. So what it's going to do, being heavier, it's going to settle way, it's going to, you remember, for those of you who can remember chocolate milk? We used to take the powder and stir it up, and we had a glass of chocolate milk, and then, we had to go and do something else, and by the time we got back, all the chocolate was down on the bottom of the glass, and we had to stir it up again. Well, coronavirus is kind of like that. So it's going to settle way down deep in the lungs, way down deep. Now, if you're a shallow breather, that means no oxygen gets way down deep. That means it's taking advantage of an opportunity, see? And it's starting to set up housekeeping. It's becoming parasitic. So what you want to do is to get outside, take some deep breaths through the day. I mean, hey, the more the merrier. Or go outside with your kids, with your husband, with your wife, with hand in hand. Go for a nice walk. I'm not talking about a gentle walk. I'm talking about, all right, you can start off slow, but then speed it up, make it a contest. Start to breathe deeply, get some air into your lungs. And as you're doing that, the deeper it goes, the more of those buggers you're killing. See, and it has an affinity to build up in the sinuses, in the nose, and the sinuses all in this area. I'll get to that a little bit more here. But the deep breathing, because it is anaerobic, you're going to kill it with oxygen. So go ahead and do that. Okay. Another thing, you want to make sure you're getting some sleep. I mean, fear robs you of sleep, and these people are scared. They're just fixed to the TV or the internet. They can't get away from all of this news coming in, news break and all this other junk. Look, get some sleep, okay? That's what you need to do. You need to get about 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Sleep, just rest. And if you don't get that during the day, then look, if you're not working and you're quarantined or you're sequestered there because your governor says you can't go out, then take a nap. Take a nap, but get some sleep. That's when the body does its rebuilding, it's regenerating, and it's repairing. Okay, so the sleep is important. Also, drink water. Drink water. Okay. Forget the power drink. They're not going to power you. They're gonna take power from you. Don't drink the Gatorades and all of the aids. Junk. Junk. It's junk. It's garbage. Don't drink it. What you want to drink is water. Drink half your body weight in ounces. You weigh 120, then drink 60 ounces. You weigh 180, then drink 90 ounces. You got it. Okay. You got it. So you drink that much water during the day. That's going to help the body too. I have a tendency, I can go deep, but I won't go deep because I have to be aware of time. That's just my nature, folks. You have to be forgiving here. All right. Um, and eat real food. Don't eat the sugar. Read the labels. Don't eat the sugar. The sugar feeds the virus because it makes you weaker, it makes it stronger. The weaker you get, the stronger it is, the more power it has, the less power you have, the door's blown wide open. Don't. And look, if you have children, and the only way you can get them to eat is by bribing them. My humble advice, suggestion, then let them go hungry. Okay, let them go hungry. And I promise you, this is life. See, this is how we live by laws. Remember, I told you about the virus. Your children live by laws too. They are law abiders too. And when their body gets hungry enough, I promise you, because they're law-abiding bodies, they're going to eat what you set before them. Oh, yeah, they may throw a tantrum. They may try a tug of war where they push it away, and I'm not. But I promise you, when they get to the point that they're hungry enough, you put the real food in front of them, they're going to eat it. If you've got children that the only way they're going to eat is like the commercials say, put this cheese on it. That's despicable. It just bothers me that a parent has to do that to make their child eat the food in front of them. They have to pour cheese on it. Or if all your child will eat is a McNugget or a chicken McNugget, I got news for you. Less than 23% of that McNugget is chicken, right? And you got a responsibility. You remember, we told you you're responsible. You're not only responsible for yourself, but you're responsible for your kids. So you got to give them good food. And you don't make them eat it like, force it. No. Just let them get hungry. Let them put it in front of them. Make sure real. Make sure it's tasty and it's warm, edible. They'll eat it. Okay. I took care of a major obstacle there for you. You got it. Eat that real food. And also, look, I got to tell you this. If you're a person who's using Nexium, Prilosec, Prevacid, whatever, for your stomach upset, don't do it anymore because you're killing part of the body's defense mechanism. Some of that virus gets into the stomach, see, and it can go ahead and proliferate from that. The gastric juices actually kill bad bacteria and bad viruses. So stop doing that. If you have problems digesting food, see, and look, you're not even getting the nutrients from the food you are eating. Boy, anyway, if you're having problems like that, stop doing the purple pill and all that other garbage. It's killing you. And what you want to do is take proteolytic enzymes. That's what you want to do. Take proteolytic enzymes. And all of these things that I'm mentioning, look, I know I'm saying a lot. You can call us, you can contact us, contact the doctor you go to, ask him or her if they have the D3, the K2, if they have the proteolytic enzymes, find out. And if not, we're here to help you. That's what I do. Anyway, you want to take the proteolytic enzymes. What they do then is they start to digest the food for you. They help the body to do that, releasing all of the nutrients, all of the enzymes from the food you're eating, which will go ahead and feed and fuel the body, making it stronger. If you can't do that, then what happens is when you're eating complex carbohydrates or the proteins, digestion requires energy. So now the body's got to take energy from its defenses, and it's got to direct it toward the function of digestion. So while it's doing that, it's making your body weaker. See, because it's taken some of the guys there and it's relocated them so that you can digest the food. You want all the guys at the wall that you can possibly get. So the proteolytic enzymes will help you to do that, okay? They will make it easier on your body to digest the food. That way you can have more energy, not only in the food, from the food you've eaten, but in the fact that you're not using the energy stores that your body has to digest the foods, okay? All righty. Oh, and I got to tell you about the probiotics. Probiotics are great, but listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, oh, hey, doc, I eat yogurt and this and that. Bless your heart. That's great. When you get your yogurt next time, you look at the label and make sure it says on the label active bacteria. Active bacteria. If the yogurt that you get, I don't care what celebrity is selling you this yogurt and what they tell you is going to happen in 2 weeks, if your label doesn't say active bacteria, then you put the yogurt down and move to one that does. See, because all you're doing is eating a glorified dessert. That's all you're doing when you eat that yogurt. Those probiotics in there are dead. They're dead. They're not doing you any good. I don't care what the ad says. If it doesn't say on the label active bacteria, then those bacteria that are in there are inactive. They're not doing you any good. But you do want to get good probiotics. You can get the Greek yogurt. That's a good source. You don't want to get it with fruit in it. You can put your own whole real fruit in it later on if you so choose. Make sure it has active bacteria. Another very good one is Bulgarian yogurt. Make sure it has active bacteria. And you can get goat's milk yogurt, and that you make sure it has active bacteria. Okay? And there's another one, the lactorhamnosus and also the plantarum. This is a bacteria that we use, and again, it's a different kind of bifidobacteria, but and all bacteria have their own place of activity in the body, in the bowels. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'll stick to what I'm supposed to tell you. This bacteria, when you take it, you keep it in your mouth and it's dissolved in your mouth, and these little bacteria start to adhere to all of the membranes inside your mouth. They even crawl up into the sinuses and get into the eustachian tube in the back. You know how you have the postnasal drip and it gets in the back of your throat? These bacteria will start to procreate and populate all of this area. Now remember what I told you, that this virus comes in through the mouth. That's the portal of entry. So if you've got these bacteria already there and they've got theirs loaded, then there's going to be few that get in through that main defense, that initial portal of entry. See, this is what you can do to get yourself healthy and to keep yourself healthy. And the kids love this stuff. It's very good tasting, and they can do this as well. Okay? Now, let me see. I told you about that, and I told you about that, the nitric oxide. Oh, and there's another thing I want to tell you about. Remember, I told you that that the virus is law-abiding, right? It has to abide. And just like you and I are law-abiding, you take the oxygen away from you and me, we die. If you give that oxygen, it'll die. See? Okay. And by the same token, if I use heat, if we turn up the heat, you know, there's a comfortable level of heat, temperature, Fahrenheit, and then there's an uncomfortable one. But if you get it too hot, I promise you, you and me are going to die. Well, I got to tell you some really exciting news. The same is true for the virus. The same is true for the virus. Now, what I did was this. And again, I can't take credit for this. I have been blessed with, you know, I've learned that if I surround myself with a multitude of counselors, in their midst there's wisdom. And I found wisdom. I've been very privileged to meet and become friends with some brilliant minds in the world. God's really blessed me. And anyway, I had a thought, and they told me that, yeah, you're headed in the right direction. And I said, but I got to have proof. I can't just have a hypothesis. It's got to be scientific. It's got to be empirical. It can't be anecdotal. So anyway, I put some information out there a while ago, and I got lampooned. I really did. Hey, it was cool. I thought that's pretty cool. Somebody's paying attention to me out there. Anyway, this individual. Oh, there were a couple individuals. One is a cardiologist, and I was telling, and you can find her, doctor, because she's been on NBC and all these doctors on NBC, oh, they and CBS. And I never watch them, but I do watch them now. Maybe that was a contradiction. I watch them now because I love to hear what these people are saying because they're so full of themselves, and I know the intention behind them. They're not here to set you free. They're here to keep you captive. That's what I want. The truth is the only thing. So anyway, I was on and I talked about building up the immune system. And Dr. Shapiro, bless her heart, she's on there lambasting me, telling me that I'm a buffoon and you can't build up the immune system and blah blah. The body can't do this, it can't do that. You have to be totally dependent on an external agent rather than something from inside. Look, everything you got is inside you. It's inside you. This is the greatest pharmacy, if you want to call it a pharmacy, chemistry lab, whatever. It's the greatest that's ever been created. The proof is that we're still alive after most of us throw garbage down our gullet, and it still takes it and keeps us going. That's amazing. Anyway, I put this up and I put something about the heat. This is what I said. I found out information and I said, look, what you can do is you have choices. You can go to an arid desert or you can go to a torrid climate, arid desert, torrid climate, or you can use a sauna, or you can use a hair dryer, a blow dryer, because the heat kills the virus. Follow me here on this one, please do, because some of you probably think I'm off and I don't care what you think, but allow me to finish what I'm about to say because you might find some value in it. So anyway, I put that out, and this individual was quoted. Yeah, she got on one of the browsers or whatever. She got on Yahoo. This is what she said. Is there any truth to the cure? They were asking about the cure that I was sharing. Is there any truth to the cure? And she said straightforwardly, N-O. And that's an absolute. There's no truth to it at all. While there have been reports of heat, because I was talking about heat killing the virus, while there have been reports of heat killing the virus, that is in reference, because they want to explain, see, that's in reference to the extreme heat. Extreme is the word, extreme heat used by medical professionals, not by you, but by medical professionals to clean their tools, not something you'd find in your average Conair, because I talked about the hairdryer, not that you'd find in your average Conair or from the weather outside, because I said the torrid climates or the deserts. You won't find this in a Conair, because I guess that's the only one she knew about, or the weather outside. In fact, this specific theory, that's what they said I had, actually puts you more in danger as it could cause serious complications. Okay, and I want to quote, you could easily burn or more likely cause superficial damage to your eye. We're talking about a hairdryer because that's what I said. Since you can't get to the torrid climates or you can use a hairdryer. So they were responding to that. You could easily burn or more likely cause superficial damage to your eye, your nose, and mouth lining by trying to breathe in hot air. They were blowing out a lot of hot air. Anyway, which promptly damages your first line of defense against infection, right? The mouth. I told you what you can do for your mouth there, all right? And in the first line of defense against infection and intact lining. Says Jill Grimes. Hey, I'm going to quote her because she's the one that said it. Jill Grimes, you can Google her. She got her 5 minutes of fame. She's an urgent care physician and author. Oh, she's an author, see, of the ultimate college health handbook. Okay? All right, I'll give her that moment of fame here. By She goes on, by damaging these parts of your body, talking about the mouth and that, you are actually making yourself more vulnerable to exposure. Dry, irritated eyes, nasal passages, and mouth make you more susceptible to any respiratory infection because of that lost barrier, she adds, Dr. Grimes adds. Impaired respiratory systems, especially for those with medical conditions like asthma, put you at a higher risk by developing more serious complications from the COVID-19, as stated by the CDC. I told you they were sick first. Sure, you're more at risk. It's also important to remember that while there is currently testing for antiviral medication, there is no specific treatment for the COVID-19 currently available, which has also been confirmed by the CDC. Well, the CDC isn't giving me any answers. All they're giving me is more statistics. You understand? I'm giving you answers. Now, again, I'm not implying a cure, but I'm telling you that if you do these things, you can expect favorable positive changes with your body. Okay? Now, they went on to say, or she went on to say, the harm doesn't end there. By breathing in air at high temperatures through your nose, you can also damage your skin. The hot air can lead to potentially serious burns. This is another individual warns, because they got another one. Dermatologist Joshua Zeichner, MD. I absolutely do not recommend breathing in hot air from your blow dryer. Okay. You had your moment in the sun. Now I'm going to tell you the truth here. And I haven't measured this, but I postulated that if hot air kills the virus, and it can't be arbitrary, it's got to be specific, then we can go ahead, and that's another weapon in your arsenal. Now, where did I come up with this? Well, I'll tell you where I got this, because I love to study and find out things. There's always effects, there's always reasons, the whys and the wherefores. So I'll tell you, I'm going to show you here, because since I've gotten it, they've shut it down. They actually took it off. This is the first data on stability and resistance of SARS coronavirus compiled by members of, not Dr. Robert Bartosh of Proactive Wellness and Injury Center, but by members of the World Health Organization Laboratory Network. This network is made up of the nerds and the brainiacs all over the world that go ahead and they give their information into the World Health Organization on this. So they talked about the virus survival rate in stool and in urine. It's stable in feces at room temperature for at least 1 to 2 days. This is based upon the World Health Organization, so you can take it to the bank. They haven't released this to the world, but anyway. And disinfectants. The virus loses ineffectivity after exposure to different commonly used disinfectants and fixatives. Now, what I would suggest is something, if you got Lysol, you can use that. You can use isopropyl alcohol. You might put it in a spritz bottle and spray it. Use vinegar and water, white vinegar and water. Clean all of the surfaces. Do those types of things. And look, as far as this goes, that antimicrobial hand junk that they're, oh, thank God we have that and everybody bought it. And what that don't use that stuff. That's antimicrobial. That doesn't kill. It's antibacterial. It's not antiviral. It doesn't kill the virus. It kills bacteria. And then to top it off, what it does is when you start using that, because people are promoting, they're being moved forward based on fear. So every 15 minutes, whatever they touch, they're doing this stuff and doing this stuff and doing this stuff. This skin that you have over your body is one of the primary areas of defense. It defends, it protects your body. Do you ever wonder why the skin around the hand is thicker than the delicate skin of the face? It's because this is what we come in contact with. This is the way the good Lord made you. He protected you because he knew we were going to get stupid down the road. See? So he protected us, innate intelligence, that fearfully and wonderfully made. He's protected us. Anyway, man's, oh, well, we got to use this gel now on us. What it does, it will continually break down the skin. It'll break it down, break it down, break it down until there is no barrier here. So now, not only will you let the virus in this way, if it's there, you'll let the bacterias, you'll let all manners of bacterias, microbiota, oh nine, you're going to let them all in. And you're not only going to have to deal with the viruses, the COVID-19, you're going to have to deal with the influenzas, everything else that's going on. See, don't do it. What do? You wash your hands with soap and water. Take your time. Use a non-chemical soap. Like Ivory's a good one. It doesn't have the fragrances. It doesn't have the chemicals. You just get a soap that you're comfortable with, that doesn't have all kind of junk in it, and then use that to wash your hands, and you're going to be doing a great job. Let me see, because they broke it down here. Now, I want to cut to the quick because they have all the survival times here. See, in the labs, what we have to do is we have to test everything, and they broke it down into all different categories, the survival rate of the COVID-19 and all of these cultures. Now, I want to share with you here what they said. They said that the COVID virus is killed in the presence of a temperature of 56 degrees Celsius. You kill it. 56 degrees Celsius. Why? Because I told you before, the virus is law abiding. Got it? See, there are certain parameters by which it can live in and others it can't. Just like you and me, we're law abiding, we're mortal. So if we transgress those laws, we're gonna die, right? See? So that's what happens. So if it's 56 degrees centigrade, I got it right here, and I copied it and before they took it down. That's what they proved according to their data, the World Health Organization, as far as stability of the SARS. Now, so I said that what you can do is you can get a hair dryer and you can do this. Now, look, let's be smart for a moment, okay? Not that you folks are dumb, but you know, generally there's some gross stupidity out there. Now, if you take a hair dryer and you put it right into your face, right? And the nozzle's right here, and you got that puppy on full steam. Yeah, you're going to fry your eyeballs, your eyelids are going to burn off. I mean, your eyelashes, all of that. You're going to lose it. That's, come on. I unfortunately, sometimes I give certain audiences more credit. And look, and I'm not being demeaning. I'm just telling you the truth. See, because people don't think for themselves. They let others think for them, and it's the sheep mentality that we're seeing going on today. Okay? So what you do is you do the other stuff that I told you. You're going to eat the whole food. You're going to drink the water. Get your vitamin, the D3 and the K2. Get the nitric oxide. Get out in the sun. Oh, and I know there's a picture that's been passed around. These people lying out this hospital back in the influenza, the Spanish flu 1918, that was taken in Boston. And if you still have that picture available, all those beds are outside their tents and they're out there exposed in the sun. All these flu patients are out there in the sun. I want you to look at the picture very carefully, because the nurse on the left side of the beds, she's dressed up warmly. And the gentleman that's in that grass pathway, he's got a heavy overcoat on and he's dressed. Why? Because it's stinking cold outside. But nonetheless, they didn't fear the cold. They wanted to use the sun. They put those already sick people in their hospital beds out in the sun for the benefit that they would get. Oh my gosh. See, get out in the sun. Make sure you go for walks, get some deep breaths in there all through the day. If you work at a desk job, or get up every so often, ask your boss if you could, if you're not quarantined or sequestered or whatever, if you can get outside, get some deep breaths here, make it a family affair, all out there, make it a game, go and take some deep breaths. Who can take the longest deep breath and blow out the longest breath or whatever. Make it a game, make it fun. Make sure everybody gets oxygen in them. Go for the walks, speed up every once in a while. Make the kids run up and catch up to you. The Whole Foods, do what I said about the kids. Don't bribe them. Don't cover the food in cheese to make them eat, and don't just keep giving them chicken McNuggets because that's all they're going to eat. Get them hungry, starve the little sweethearts, and then put in front of them a really good tasting whole food recipe. And I promise you, they're going to be eating foods they never thought they would eat. Now, and then use the hair dryer as well. Stick it out arm's length, or if you have real eeny teeny short arms, then get somebody out there it's about 2 feet, okay? 2 feet or more. And you want to make sure that that warm air is coming in. How long do you want to do it? Well, they did it for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. That's what you want to do. See, for 15 minutes, you want to do this. And you can do it all throughout the day. You can do it 4 or 5 times a day if you want. I mean, it's up to you. But, do it so if you have little ones, you're not burning their face, of course. I mean, goodness gracious. And if you're not sure, put your hand in between the back of your hand, not the palm of your hand, but put the back of your hand between you and their little face. And no, I'm sorry. I have that all backwards. Scratch that. Put the palm of your hand facing you and no, put the back of your hand facing you and the palm of your hand facing their little head or their head. Then put the hair dryer on and blow it on your hand at that distance between you and them. If your hand starts to get hot and uncomfortable, then move the hair dryer back a little further until it's like making a bath for the kids. You check the temperature, giving your baby the formula, I mean, or the milk. You're testing the heat, on your radial on this area. You can test the heat there with your hand, and just like making the bath, if the water's too hot, you turn it back and make it cooler. Do the same thing with the dryer. Pull it back until it's comfortable. You want it warm, almost to the point where you're in Arizona in the summer, in the desert, and you're breathing in hot. It's not going to hurt you. Have the kids or have whoever it is, yourself, take some nice hot air in, okay? Listen, I know that some of you may go away thinking I'm a quack, and I blew this up for your benefit. This is from the World Health Organization. This is what they said. Coronavirus is easily killed this is their quote, at 56 degrees centigrade or 133 degrees Fahrenheit. This is from the World Health Organization. Quote, coronavirus is easily, that's the word that they picked, killed. I like that word, having to do with this, at 56 degrees centigrade or 133 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so if you can't crank it up to 130, get it close and do it longer. Okay, do it longer. Take the deep breaths in conjunction with everything else. I don't mind being called a quack, but if you're going to do me that, have a reason for doing so. Know what you're talking about, so you're not the one that's made to be silly instead of the one you're accusing, because that's what's happened. Anyway, and cleaning stuff, I said the alcohol and boom, boom, boom. Let me see. And again, if you have any questions that I'm not able to address here this evening, or know more about the supplements, because I'm obligated to help. We have patients. You don't have to be a patient of mine to get the resources we use. So you can call us, you can email us, get in touch with us, and we're here to serve you. Okay? Let me see here. I want to go through and see if I have any questions at all. So thankful that thank you very much. That's very kind of you. and people said, "Hello, thank you for joining me." Man, bless your heart. Thank you. I'm honored. I really am. Let me see. Oh, you enjoyed the word for my sponsor. Yeah, I didn't make any money from that. I'm gonna have to get a new sponsor. I'll tell you. Let me see. The truth does set us free. Doing a good job. Keep up spreading the word. Okay. So I didn't see any questions that were asked. However, if any questions do arise following that, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me, but please do those suggestions that I shared with you. And you're going to notice an improvement in how you feel, how you live, and share it. Share the good news. I mean, share those truths with others so that we can get out of this thing as quickly as possible with the least amount of casualties attributed to this virus, and life can return. All right. All right. So thank you again. Thank you so very much for allowing me this privilege. And until the next time we're together, and as always, God bless. Have a great evening.